Voice of Indiana County, WCCS AM 1160 and 101.1 FM. And our conversation with the superintendent of the Penns Manor Schools, Daren Johnston, is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. And let's say hello. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Wonderful. I was saying to Michelle Dolges, your high school principal, the other day that when we first started doing school visits years and years and years ago, we were in the other studio, as a matter of fact. You were our very first. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Back then, you were the principal of the high school, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Well, now you're the superintendent, and there are a lot of things to think about as we work on our school schedules and this new era with the COVID-19. So let's talk about what Penns Manor is doing. And you, of course, like all of the other school districts around Indiana County, the first priority was making sure your students get fed. And so you jumped right into action on that, didn't you?
Yes. Currently, we as a district are providing food to any student from senior down through to the age that they can eat food. In any 4 locations in our district, the areas that we're serving from are the elementary high school front entrance, the Cherry Hill Township Fire Hall in Penn Run, the Pine Township Fire Hall in Howellwood, and also the Clymer Fire Hall in Clymer. And that's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Each day, Monday through Friday. You know, we've talked about this with other school districts, and I've never really asked any of them, physically, what happens in order to get those meals prepared? Are they bagged? Are they put in styrofoam containers? And who's actually doing all of this? Sure. So each superintendent has to identify who the essential staff is at this time, meaning that is the only employees that can come to the district to do any type of work. So we have, or I have, declared our cafeteria workers as essential staff for a portion of our day. So our cafeteria workers come in, prepare a breakfast meal and a lunch meal for each student that they give out each day. We have been doing cold items, but believe it or not, our cafeteria manager from METS and our cafeteria workers have gone above and beyond, and they're going to start actually serving more meals every other day.
Wow.
So they are the ones that said, hey, can we try this? And, of course, they work together. So hats off to them for even going the extra step.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, of course, getting them transported becomes a chore as well, doesn't it?
Yes. Since we have to thank Tri-County Transportation. They have given us vans that our cafeteria workers can take the food that's prepared here in our elementary kitchen, and that is transported to the other 3 locations via Tri-County Transportation vans.
I want to get to the actual education of students in just a moment, but I do want to stay in the hallways there at Penns Manor Schools and talk about cleanliness and sanitizing. I know you've got staff that are working very hard on that every day, too.
Yes, we do have. So immediately after we closed our buildings, we did a thorough cleaning of the entire building. So if anyone comes in to our district for an emergency reason, they have to contact an administrator to come in, but that's very few and far between. And the reason for that is that we identify every area that an individual goes into, and then we completely clean that area again and also disinfect it. Yeah.
It takes an awful lot of work, and the odds are that there's no problem at all with whoever that person might be, but that's a chance you just can't take.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about educating the children. There are school districts all across Indiana County and all across the state who are trying to figure out what's the best way to approach this. Some do it as a mandatory activity. Some do it as a not mandatory but optional. What is Penns Manor's approach to educating off of site as it is?
Sure. There were 2 options for us. Actually, there were 3 options that we could select from. The first, of course, is that we treat every day that we're out of the building as if it was a snow day. And PDE strongly suggested to all districts not to take that option. Mm-hmm. And I don't know of anyone that is doing that. So they provided 2 other options that a district could select under the continuity of education plan that PDE has described to each district. The first one is an instructional plan. And then under that umbrella, district is able to move forward, connecting with 100% of their students and operating classes as if they were under their roof for education. So that's the instructional plan, and that's making sure that, again, that you're connecting with every student within your district. We chose the second option, which is enrichment and review. And the reason for that is that being that we're in the more rural part of the county, we do not have connectivity internet-wise to all of our households. So under enrichment and review, materials are provided to students via the Google Classroom with our teachers. Teachers are at home, of course, so are students. We're using Google Classroom to provide that service. And again, not all are connected, just simply because of internet access and maybe even devices. So in those cases, when parents request work, we are actually producing paper and pencil packets, which are being sent and distributed out to students. But under that enrichment and review option that a district can select is that we are not grading the work into the fourth marking period for our students. Mm-hmm. Again, two different approaches. One is instructional, that you're operating in all the grades are being graded and being reported into a teacher's grade book. But in our case, because we knew we could not reach 100% of our students at this point, that we went under enrichment and review, just simply based on we are trying our good faith effort to get connected to every student possible.
You're about a week into that process. Of those students who do have online access, have you measured or have you had the ability to measure just how many by percentage are actually participating?
Yes. So actually, I just sent out a survey to our teachers because we have the opportunity to work on a continuity of education grant through the state. And I actually conducted a survey of all of our teachers. It's looking like that actually 65% of our students are connected and working in Google Classroom. Mm-hmm. We have another small percentage that then are working with paper and pencil packets, approximately another 90 students that we're preparing packets for those individuals. And then there are just some that we have not connected with yet. Mm-hmm. And again, so it all has to do with internet access, devices that are available to students, that's keeping us from getting to that 100%.
So you're about, 70 or 80%? That's not bad.
Yep.
That's not bad. I don't know what you would term to be satisfactory, but from the outsider's perspective, that's not a bad participation rate.
No. I will have to say I was surprised when I surveyed the teachers. Now, you have to keep in mind that some teachers are reporting as low as 20%, but I have teachers also reporting that they have 98% of their students interacting with them in Google Classroom. So the average came out to be 65% are connected through Google Classroom.
We're talking with Daren Johnston. He's the superintendent of the Penns Manor area schools. Of course, I talked yesterday with Kurt Weitzel from Homer Center, and one of the questions I had for him was from an emotional standpoint, and you can separate this into elementary and secondary levels if you'd like. That has to be really a burden on students. They've never experienced anything like that. Neither have we. And certainly I'm sure you're reaching out to make sure that everybody emotionally has all the resources available to handle this.
Absolutely. And that is one of the factors that weighed on us as administration in deciding that we were not going with instructional days, meaning that we were going to require that every bit of that work that was being taught was going to be graded. Just simply on the fact of we realize we have parents at home that are unemployed. We also have home situations where both parents are having to go to work. Student is left there, and they're trying their hardest to connect with us and do the work. I mean, I hear from every range from homes that have both people there, that even college students are at home. You put 4 or 5 devices trying to connect on their internet. The internet doesn't work. So in all those cases, just think of all the stress that's being placed in every household. So as administration, we stepped back. We thought, number one, we have an issue with connecting to begin with, even with the ones we can connect with. Just the strains that are on students and parents at home right now, we completely understand that. And we also know as administration, this is absolutely not the ideal situation. I mean, we basically flipped the switch on our students from being in a classroom with a group of students in front of a teacher to now at home with a device that they may have not necessarily had to get on in the past every day, let alone accessing the materials that we're giving them. Teachers are the same way. we have 70 teachers, and it's a complete shock to them, too, for being in front of students. And now we're saying to them, listen, we need you to keep up with emails. We need you to keep up with Google Classroom. We need you to call into your classroom phone and take all phone messages left by students and teachers and make sure those are answered within 24 hours. So definitely a strain in every household of our employees, to the household of our students. We clearly know that. We sincerely apologize. But in the Zoom meetings I did with the community a week ago, I simply ask every parent and student, all I'm asking is that you give your good faith effort in trying to complete the work that we're doing. We're trying to do things here to try to connect more students, to make it easier. We'll listen, so please don't hesitate to contact any administrator. We just know this is definitely not the ideal situation.
I'm sure that when we get to the other side of this and we're able to digest what happened in the spring of 2020, there will be lessons learned, and distance education will be strengthened, and all kinds of different issues will have been addressed, and we'll see what the weaknesses are and the strengths as well. And by the way, I did go ahead and crown your girls basketball team state champions.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate that.
I'm not sure how much authority I have to do that, but I didn't see anybody better.
Well, we certainly appreciate your support. I mean, you've been at every single one of our games, the tremendous interviews you do with our coaches and girls, even when our boys were in playoffs too. I appreciate all the support that you've certainly given to the Comets.
Well, there's hardly anything more fun than getting together with those girls after the game for those interviews. Daren Johnston, thanks so much for spending some time with us here this morning. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you calling.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
There is Daren.
Thank you.
There is Daren.